What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Travelin Hustlers Podcast, where we discuss how digital nomads make money. We're about breaking down the silo effect within the nomadic community. When you tune in here to the Travelin Hustlers Podcast, you enjoy open conversations that provide you with actionable ideas to turn the hustler into a digital nomad. So we have Tasha here, and my name is Lavelle.
And my name is Paris.
And Tasha, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and why you got into your nomadic lifestyle?
Well, my name is Tasha, obviously, Queen Tasha, if you like. I am a serial entrepreneur, and I have been in and out of the corporate world and hospitality at the very beginning, but corporate world for the majority of my adult in 30s life. And when I got a taste of the gig economy, I really enjoyed that because even though I wasn't doing my own business necessarily, I still was able to make the same amount of money in a sense as going to a job. So I treated it like a job, and I would go out and do it 8 hours, whatever. And I would either have a goal for how much I wanted to make that day. And if I made it before the time, then I would still stay out, or I might be like, all right, I'm out. But just the freedom of having that. I did Uber, Lyft, Postmates, Shipped, which is kind of like Instacart. It's another one like Instacart. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and TaskRabbit. I did all of those for a good 3 to 4 years prior to RV life. And right before RV life, though, I got burnt out from all of that hustling, and I went back into the corporate world really quick, but with the goal in mind of like, I'm just here to work, get my money, and as soon as my RV is ready, I'm out. Like that like that was basically the plan for that. And it ended up being great. That last corporate job was probably one of my best corporate jobs that I've had. But yeah, I got into the RV life by being interested in the tiny house movement. This was when I was living out in Houston, and when I got out to Houston, I just had this idea of like, I want to ball out of control right now. Like, like I was doing Uber like right at the beginning, and it was really good money at the beginning. When people talk about it was really good money, it was like I was making close to $1,000 a week.
Wow.
And and I look at and the way that I look at it is that's after expenses. That's after my gas, that's after Uber's fees, that's after, what I factor in. I always look at my take home, after that. Some people embellish their take home because they don't factor in all of the money they spent to get it. And so like people that do Uber and Lyft now, I'm always skeptical about how much money they're saying they make. Like, I'm like, who's paying you to say that? Because I've done it. I did it right at the beginning, and I was there through the transition when it went from like where you could do it full time to where it was like, if you're not doing this as a side hustle, like you shouldn't be you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing. And so I've seen both ends of the spectrum. And so when I still don't understand how people like do it and support families and kids and stuff like that. I was just supporting me and my dog. And so yeah, I'm trying to circle back to my point, but basically I've been doing RV life for 3 years. I was interested by the tiny house movement, and then went to the tiny house festival and realized that I'm probably not as skilled as I think I am. So I'd rather do an RV that's already done inside. It's more budget friendly. And I can get a used one for really cheap. So my first RV was a 34-foot Class A. I paid $5,500 for that. And that was a 94 Winnebago Adventure. And then the Purple Palace is my second RV, which is a 26-foot Class C for Jayco Mini. And sorry, I need to take a little glass of water. My throat is dry. My bad. Okay, so yeah, and so yeah, that's my second rig. I've been in my second rig longer. And I really just started traveling and essentially traveling full time in the sense of like it being a constant thing. The first couple years I was trying to figure out still breaking the mindset of like, how do I make money on the road? Mm-hmm. And so like my first gig was I was doing truck driving. That was my first hustle. I truck drove for a friend of mine up in Atlanta. So I moved my home base from Florida up to Atlanta. And basically what I did is I put my RV in storage for 2 to 3 weeks while I was out on the road. And then when I would come back, I would use the money that I would make or whatever, and I would go stay in a different RV park that was in the Atlanta metro area. There's none in Atlanta really. They're all like kind of on the outskirts. Atlanta is not that RV friendly.
No, it's not.
So yeah, I did that for, I would say, the better half of the summer into fall. And then it kind of started slowing down. And I was just like, you know what? I have the freedom to go and do whatever. And that's when I kind of found out about the work camping thing. I kind of already knew about it, but because I had a gig going that seemed good, that took me around the country for the first time before I got to do it in my RV. I traveled around the country in the truck. So there was a point where it slowed down and I was like, I'm going to see if I can find something else to do. And that's how I stumbled upon Amazon. And Amazon has a program. I'm pretty sure it still exists, but I don't know how it functions right now because right before I left, they had phased out how they were doing it before. So basically how it was when I was doing it was you go to one of their warehouses, which is, it's only a select few, and it's usually in desolate places that nobody wants to be in during the winter specifically, because it's usually in cold places. But I heard that they had opened up a couple other ones that were in more ideal places for RV lifers, because the whole point of RV is to be in somewhere where it's warm or, you know, nice weather and not cold. But so yeah, they have a program where they invite you out to those places. You come and work the seasonal. Some people do it all year round because they live in that town and it just made sense. But the idea is that you come and work their seasonal and then off season, which is right before Thanksgiving into Christmas. And then right after the New Year's, they're like big return season. So it can range anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months. I stayed for 6 weeks. I think it might have been 7 weeks, but it was like right around that nudge because I went right before Thanksgiving and I left right after Christmas. But anyways, I got paid $15 an hour to do that, and they paid for your campsite fully. Now they do like a stipend where they give you however much, but you got paid. We worked a lot of hours in a warehouse. I mean, it was just as. It was what I expected because I watched a couple videos about reviews of it and then people always talking about how terrible Amazon is. And I'm like, yeah, it's partially true. Like they treat the camper force people nicer only because they know we're here temporary for a short time. And so they give us the little easy odd jobs that they don't really have to teach us too much. But what we were doing was really interesting. I was in the returns warehouse. So everything that comes back, like when you're like, oh, I don't like this, and you send it back, it goes to a separate warehouse. They unpackage it and sort it, and then we were in a section, the camper force, where they did all the Amazon electronic stuff. So all like the tablets, the little things that you talk to, all of those little things. They would cut. It was called the Kindle department, but basically it was all of those little gadgets that Amazon makes. We would get them back, and then we would sort them, and then we would go through these. There was different assembly lines where we tested out, and then it would go through a succession of either getting rejected and going back to the manufacturer, or we would, in that warehouse is where the process of refurbishing happens, which I didn't know that this was all like, I learned a bunch of new stuff learning there. It was very interesting to see their process, but basically we in the warehouse refurbish it. It goes through a process of like probably 8 to 10 different tests at different stations to see if it passed a test. If it fails any test, then it goes out. But if it makes to the last test, it gets repackaged and refurbished out. Anyways, that was basically our job, and that was the second hustle that I did. That was my first like work camping type of job that I did.
What's the name of that?
It's called Amazon Camper Force.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that. That gave me a good stash of money. Plus, I had gotten I knew I was going to get my tax return back from working a corporate job, because when you self-employed, you don't get no money back. So you get used to that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and just chill for a little bit. And I know how to live frugally, and in the process of doing this life, not only did I downsize my stuff, but I downsized my expenses so that I wasn't carrying a bunch of debt and bills into this life. So I don't have whole lot of bills. I have a very small budget of my needs, in the sense of like my cell phone bill, food, weed, gas if I'm traveling. I try to keep my parking expenses low. I treat myself every once in a while, but for the most part, I try to find somewhere to park for free. I have annual expenses that I have, but I like paying things where I don't have to think about it every month. So like my insurance, I pay it for the year. When that comes around, I got to be prepared for that. So like I pay that for the year. Last year it was like $450 or something like under $500.
Ooh, that's a nice premium.
Yeah, and that's for the year for full-time RV insurance with a little bit of comprehensive. I have the liability, and then I got comprehensive just in case like a tree falls on me or like there's a flood or something like that. But I didn't need collision. Like I'm driving slow, and I've never been in an accident where I hit anybody. People always hit me, so I wasn't worried about that because I'm a pretty good driver. But anyways, so yeah, that was hustle number 2. So those were just like odd type of things. And then like I just budgeted so that I could take 2 months off. And then I went to North Carolina to see family. And I was like, it's too cold here. I don't want to see snow ever again in real life. Like, so I headed back down to Florida. And that's when I did my first snowbird thing, and where I kind of created what I call barter camping, which is exchanging some type of valuable service that you have in exchange for parking and hookups at somebody's house or business.
And what's that called?
That's something that I just been doing on my own. I think I may make it an app at some point, but like I've only done it just through Craigslist on my own. And it's worked in some places. It's worked all in Florida. It was where I got to stay for almost a month in Colorado doing something. And this is just all stuff I set up. So like on my own. But because parking can be our biggest expense, that could be rent. And the whole point for me is like not to have to think about rent. And when I was the first year of RV life, I was paying for RV parks, and I didn't know how to boondock. I wasn't a big RV. I didn't know a whole lot, the first couple of months, like trying to figure stuff out. I was just like, I just want to be plugged in so I could use the air conditioner.
That's the valve.
The 30 amp service.
Yeah. So yeah, I spent a lot of money on essentially rent, which was parking fees. which limited where I kind of wanted to go or how much I wanted to spend on each thing. And that's how I kind of find the value and how much an RV park is worth to me based on the things that they have. And why I only use it as a treat now versus like something that I had to do. But yeah, so that allowed me to just chill. I didn't have to pay for parking. I had my minimal little things that I had to pay for. So I just sat and chilled for a little bit while I was in Florida the first time. But I found 2 different places through one person who had 2 different properties that I ended up working with. And that allowed me to stay there for a little bit. At the time I had started my my deodorant line that I have now that I'm rebranding and repackaging and all that stuff right now, which hopefully will be out.
So deodorant. So give me
Yes, so
you
I
know, every
sell a
time.
natural deodorant. It's available on Etsy. I'm also going to start doing like just pull up and pop ups and maybe a few vendor events because I used to make it just to order, and now I'm doing batches and I'm wholesaling and stuff like that. So I'm trying to expand it this year. This year is the year of expansion. But when I was in Florida, when I didn't have anything to do, my friend Bree, who was at the meetup in the little van next to in our little area, she was like, you should sell your deodorant, because I have been making it for myself for years in my journey of being more holistic and more natural and all that stuff. I was just making it for myself, and I came up with a good formula, and anytime I would make it, I would be like, oh, you should try this, and then like I would just give a scoop away from my little batch or whatever. And yeah, she said you should do it. And I was like, yeah, I have a little bit of money and I'm not doing anything. Like I might as well like start a little business. So
Yeah.
and so
So
I started that, and that's one of the little small streams of income that I have that I'm trying to expand. And I'm in the current process of, finishing that up, is so that it can be back on the market on Etsy, because my Etsy shop is closed right now until I did all that. And but yeah, I sell the natural deodorant. It's 4 simple ingredients that keep you protected all day, and it's in 0 waste packaging. And yeah, so that will be available soon. But that's one of my little my products.
is it gonna work for men?
My 7 sources of income to becoming a millionaire. That's one of the things, is to have like a physical product that you sell. So that's one of my physical things.
So is that that deodorant? Is it gonna work? Do you think it will work for me? Would
It worked for everybody.
It worked for everybody. Okay, just making
works
sure.
for everybody.
Just making sure, because
Justin, there was a YouTuber that I had gave one to when I was out, and they have a channel, Justin and Juby. They're bus life people. It's a cute little hippie couple with a daughter. And I had given him one when I went there to visit, because they're here in North Carolina, or they were. And they shouted me out on their thing. And because of that, I've been getting like 1 to 2, maybe 3 orders a month because of that little shout out. Because he swears, and he's like a big guy, hairy armpits, like like it works for him great, and he's been using it, and he hasn't had to re-up yet, so I don't know how much he's used or if he's switched over. But the jar that I gave him was a 4-ounce jar that usually lasts me about 3 to 4 months. But now I have 2 other sizes as well. A travel size, it's like a little 1-ounce tin container, and then a 2-ounce like push-up deodorant stick kind of thing. So yeah, I'm working on, I started that in the process of thinking, kind of similar to some people's phase right now that they're having, like, how do I make money on the road? I already am doing the life. I still haven't figured it out. Like that was the phase I was in. I was like, well, I'm already doing it. I still haven't figured it out. Like, I'm not technically a digital nomad yet. Like at that point I was just hustling, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever I could get money from, or how I could conserve my money so that I can chill and not do nothing. I wanted to break from the hustle, to be honest. So,
and so how do
yeah, go ahead.
And so you mentioned that you burned out early in your gig economy journey. How do you
Mhm.
stop from burning out now?
Well, it's not those things are not my main hustles anymore. Um, and then also I would say taking a break. Like I think when I took a break, I was able to come back with fresh faith in humanity, I guess. I don't know. Like it wasn't just the money. Like the money ended up being the same. It was just like I got burnt out by, the human contact because I'm an empath, and just having those mundane conversations over and over again, and then just, I would say on most good days, 70 to 80% of the people that I interacted with were good energy. But that 10%, that 10 to 20%, started getting to me, the people that are just like, they don't give a fuck kind of thing. Like, so, I would say taking a break if you can. Um, Figure out a way, like if you're doing it and you're doing the van life thing, like I feel like it's easier to take a break because you're able to store up the money. But if it's like if it's your main thing, have a variety of them so that you can like go back and forth and not have one as the main one. Because like Uber and Lyft was like my bread and butter, and I did Postmates when I could, and I did TaskRabbit. I had a bunch of regular clients on TaskRabbit, like for cleaning and stuff like that. I would get booked a lot on that, especially when I lived in Houston. Um, but just having a variety of those different ones, so you're not doing the same one over and over again.
You answered one of the questions.
Mhm.
Um, Quite a few of them. uh,
Yeah.
but so when you first decided to get your RV, just to confirm, because this is one of the questions we ask to everybody, was your priority to save money, to make money, or to invest money?
Hmm. I guess it would have to fall under the category of save money in the sense, but not in the sense of to save a lot of it to do any one particular goal. My and I say that only just because really my motivation wasn't about money. It was about time. Time is
Mhm.
more valuable to me. And I was losing a lot of it trying to support a life and have basically an apartment it's an expensive storage unit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hustling all the time and you're never home. You know what I'm saying? Even if you have a corporate job, you in that rat race hustle, like you're never home. And then you're spending all this money to keep it, and then you don't get to go nowhere. If you're just breaking even or breaking even-ish, where you have enough money to maybe go out, have your little drinking or weed or whatever habit, just a little bit, like, but you're not able to really do anything else but pay bills. Like, it was really for me that it was breaking away from the systems. Like, I've always been somebody who's like trying to get out of the matrix. And like I've found creative ways to like have my cake and eat it too. And it it was really for me, it was just like freedom and getting my time back. But if it had to fall under any of those categories, it would be to save money because it would allow me to use my money that I am making in a way that I want to use it versus just to pay for a place to stay or just to pay for a car to drive, like
Mm-hmm.
that for me, it was just like I wanted my time back. And that was really what motivated me.
So you mentioned the rat race. Now I hear people say rat race all the time, but I've never worked a corporate job. I've only done my real job was just being in the military. So can you like tell me what a rat race is and what did it mean to get out of the rat race?
Yeah. I mean, the military has a similar rat race in the sense of there's a schedule that you attend to on a daily basis. Somebody is looking for you. at all times.
Mm.
You have a schedule usually from Monday to Friday. You work a 5-day, 8-hour to 9-hour day where you get breaks in between that are scheduled. And then when you have your off time, you're just getting ready to repeat the next day, even on the 2 consecutive days that they give you, which is usually in the corporate world, Saturday and Sunday. Friday, you work, you get off, you want to go do something, right? And you're like, oh God, the week is over. Yay, you go do something. Then Saturday and Sunday are the days that you have to decide, when do you do adult stuff and can you have fun before you have to run back to work on Monday? Because you really only have a day and a half off, to be honest. If you're getting ready to do Sunday, you're getting ready. Sunday is halfway preparing for Monday. So, and it's just that goes on 7 days a week, 4 weeks a month. It just keeps going. And you're just in this loop of doing the same thing and going nowhere. Like that's basically for me the rat race. And then also it's like the institutionalized part of that, like that's the only way that you can be successful, like in that modular, like corporate mindset, like that. Oh, you get in here, you start at this level, then you work your way up, and then you get promoted and you get raises, and all these little bonuses and treats that you get are supposed to lead you to something glorious, but it's not. You get old, and by the time you have time to retire, you're too old to really do anything with the money that you're supposed to be saving for your for. Like, I just don't, that philosophy just like always creeps me out. I'm just like, you want me to wait till I'm old to do all this fun stuff? Like, why can't I do it right now? Like, so yeah.
Understand. Yeah, actually, when I joined the Navy, I wanted to do 20 plus Master Chief, but then I was after 2.5 years, I already knew what was up. I was like, I know what you got to do, and it's not difficult, but like you said, it's the military has its own rat race, and I wasn't trying to go to the line and the person shoots the gun and get to running. I ain't nah.
Speaking of difficulty, how difficult is it making money on the road versus when you were in the corporate world?
I think that because I'm naturally like a creative person, as far as mindset and problem solving, it's not really difficult for me to figure out how to survive in a sense. And when it comes to this digital nomad thing, like, thankfully, I've been blessed to be able to have the precious time to do it without having to worry about expenses, because one of the gigs that I did happened during the pandemic. And, prior to that, I would have still been hustling. Like, I was doing Lyft before they shut stuff up. That was my winter job when I went back to Florida. Because I knew that time when I went back that like I had just bought this RV and I wanted to still do more stuff. And the summer wasn't a huge like hit as far as the gig stuff. So I was like, okay, I got to come back and do some more work. And I did Lyft, and then COVID hit and they were like, oh yeah, we're going to give self-employed people unemployment. I'm like, I'll take it. I've never been on unemployment. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, let me get my money back that you guys took from my taxes when I was working for you guys. So that's allowed me to have the time to really focus in on transitioning from like a gig hustler to a digital hustler in the sense. I'm a content creator on YouTube. I have my own podcast. It's a stoner podcast.
Nice.
I have the deodorant business, like I was saying, which is available on Etsy. I can ship it from anywhere. I make it right here in my RV. Now I have batch a little. It's not like a batch like where it's like a whole lot of inventory, but like I have enough where if I wanted to like do a little pop up at the beach or something, I'm like, oh, I'm selling deodorants. I could just put out a table and be like, I'm selling deodorant. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've had so many opportunities where people are just like so intrigued by the purple RV that they want to come say something. I'm like, yeah, come say something and buy something. Like,
Right.
Yeah, Paris was talking about actually doing something, but she just be doing this. She don't want all those people in the van asking questions and all of that stuff.
yeah. And then I also have I've had for years, I'm a professional organizer, and it's always been my own business, side business, um, outside of the gig stuff and stuff like that. It used to be cleaning and organizing, and now it's just organizing. And during the pandemic, I was like, how can I make this digital? And then also, I can't remember who told me to do this or where it sparked the idea, but I have a lot of people um through YouTube and just people who meet me and like, through Instagram, like, how did you get your RV? How much did you pay for it? All these questions about how to buy it. Can you help me find? And I'm like, of course I want to help my community figure out how to do this live, but it's also very time consuming. So I said, let me make that part of my business, revamp my business online so that can be a digital service. So that's my other thing. It's a digital service. starqualityorganizing.com is the site. And I offer virtual and in person. It just depends on if and it explains all that on my website, like how you can book me. But right now I'm mainly focusing on building virtual or digital clients, where I either give you the guidance and coaching to do an organizing thing, but I also am really focusing right now on the RV buying and consulting portion of the business and renovation solutions. So people have asked me, oh, how can I do this? How can I do that? Or I want to buy this or whatever. So that's something that I offer now to help the community transition into this life using the help and guidance and experience that I've had for the last 3+ years and probably more than that if you think about the research prior to that. But like just the experience that I've gotten is so I've found it has been so valuable to people. Like, so I'm like, let me make sure that it's valuable to me as well. So, so yeah, that's the service that I'm working on. And then I have a couple other ideas, things that I want to blossom, but right now I'm really trying to focus on those. I have a book as well that I wrote back in my early 30s, and I published when I was living in Houston. And I haven't really marketed that book, but now it's years later. And so I've been wanting to re-edit that book. I found a Black female editor who I'm going to work with as soon as I get around to having time. So a project, but it is available on Amazon right now, both in hard copy and in Kindle version. And it's basically a guide to becoming an adult. It's called They Made Me Become an Adult, The Lessons They Forgot to Mention. And it's basically a guidebook on like different lessons that I've learned the hard way through my 20s and early 30s about becoming an adult. And just the little things that I feel like, especially within the Black community, but it's not focused on that. It's really more to focus on young people. Like I'm the oldest of my family, so I didn't have the guidance of knowing what to look out for. You know what I'm saying? I had older cousins, but they were all trash. So I didn't really have like the guidance to know like, oh, okay, you're going to run into this, make sure you look at this first kind of thing. So that's basically what the book is about. Like, it's my own experiences, what I learned from it, and then what you should learn from it is kind of like the theme of the book. but yeah, I want to go back and edit that and see if I still align with some of the stuff I said and see if it's still relevant, update some of the resources. There are a bunch of resources in the back that are probably very old. So, um, yeah, that's a project that I'm working on. But like I said, it is available on Amazon. These are all things that I'm, like I said, in this year. And I consider my year starting at my solar return, which is coming up in 2 weeks, my birthday, August 4th. Um, as the year of expansion. That's what basically the guidance that I've been getting from a lot of different sources, that this is the year to that you've already planted this. I've already planted the seeds. I've already watered them. They are growing, but it's time to eat from them. So I need to make sure that they are fruits that can be eaten in large quantities and to share. Um,
So so I'm just gonna ask it. What is your earliest memory of money?
my earliest memory of money. Oh man, you just I had to do a little Rolodex call in the brain there. Wait a minute. My earliest memory of money. Um, I think my earliest memory of money is not really my memory of money, but a memory that happened during that I've always cherished is that my dad won the lottery on my birthday. And I've been
Ooh.
trying to create that that time vortex every year on my birthday. So I'll play the lottery. But coming into the world, like now older and having the context, like coming into the world with a blessing, and now being like, I've always had this sense that I'm rich and that I'm gonna be okay, even when I didn't really understand that or know that for sure. You know what I'm saying? But like, I've lived in survival mode for years, but I've always been taken care of. There's always money that's come. There's always, and I've always known that it's coming, even when I feared or worried where it was going to come from. You know, like I've always had this innate, um, I don't know how to explain it, but just this innate sense of like, I'll be okay. But I've definitely had to work through the challenges of like the mindset of money, you know, like the physical part here, you know, like the actual work that you have to do to change your mind on what money means to you and what money, how to make money, and all those different things um that we kind of get brainwashed in the wrong way. Especially being black, that, you know, money is broke, money is evil, money is, you know, like having those different mindsets, and the coming into when you do get a lot of money, it never feels like you've made any money, because you always feel like you're broke. You know, so it's definitely in the last couple of years like changing my mindset about money, but just overall I've always had this innate sense that I'm gonna be okay, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually very similar to Topanga. Um, is it My Van My Life?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah, yeah, yeah.
very similar ideology, but separate by a lot of years. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It's but it's very interesting because you guys have very similar lifestyles. Um, so how can people find your services? Like, people who are listening may or may not have some money and may or may not want to, take a look at your services and and how people can connect with you.
Okay. Um, Easiest way is to follow me on Instagram if you have Instagram, at Queen Tasha's Empire. There in my bio, you will find a link. I'm gonna I've been trying to keep it updated, but my link tree um link has the link to all the places that I have business in, from my
Mm.
YouTube channel to my podcast to my deodorant. Like I said, my shop is closed, but it will be reopened hopefully in 2 weeks.
Yeah, because
And
I'm waiting for it. I'm tired of using
yeah.
antiperspirants. Actually, I don't even use antiperspirants. So sometimes, the pits are. That's the sound that the smell comes off of, and I really want something natural. Um,
Well, we use the
Yeah, all
lemons.
my
They work pretty
services
good.
are available on there, and then yeah, short soon. I'm also working on a website where you'll be able to find all of those things as well. But right now, if you are on Instagram, that's the best way to find all of the links in one place. Um, and yeah.
Okay. So before we tune off of this podcast, I really found myself the other day like humming your mantra that you have. You have this rhythm. And can you share that with our audience, your mantra on money?
Oh, that money mantra. I actually got that
Yeah.
from somebody on Facebook, and he does it the same way, but I'll do it for you really quick. It's ching 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 goes the money tree. And every time a ching money comes to me, it all flows in so abundantly. From the top, left, right, and up under me. Wave, 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 I'm a money wave. Money flow, money made. Flowing in and out, plus money saved. Debt, 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 all debt is paid.
okay, I didn't
Thank
hear that. I
you.
don't remember that. So maybe I wasn't there or something like that. But that was really good.
I got that
Uh,
from somebody on Facebook and I love it. My old money mantra, well, it's not old, but the one that I used to recite more was, I think, one that you guys know as well, which is I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. That comes from Bob Proctor. That used to be my money mantra, but I like the one with the little beat.
yeah.
And I like to recite everything in threes because that's the witchy way that I like to do things. But I find that reciting that, like when you are in really good feeling of something and then visualizing what you want, like at the same time, that it works like magic.
Cool. So, yeah, that's really helpful, and I definitely do see where you're coming from with that, and thank you for the mantras again.
Yeah.
Um,
I felt that.
yeah, yeah. So we're gonna close it out. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much for tuning in.
I will be happy to come back for any other topics of podcast.
Cool. A lot of the people who plan on having them come back for more specific conversations. Yeah, but thank you for tuning in to the Travelin Hustlers Podcast, where we share how digital nomads make money, breaking down that silo effect in the nomad community, and providing actionable ideas for hustlers trying to become digital nomads. My question to you is, what's your next move? Every time you hear us, people are making moves, and that's what you're here for. So what are you doing next? And let us know on our Instagram. So peace out, y'all.
Later.
Later.